Welcome to another edition of Crime Time with DutyRon. Guys and girls, I'm a retired New York City police detective with 20 plus years of law enforcement. If you like all things true crime related from a police perspective, hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you'll get all things DutyRon and Ed Wallace. He's going to be here in a few short minutes when we go live or upload another video. Today, we're going to talk to you this morning. This is a rare 11 o'clock on a Saturday morning live stream. And I'll tell you why I came live with you at 11 o'clock is because Ed Wallace is on a different time zone, being in Africa. And he is, I'm telling you, it shows his level of dedication. He brings from the United States all the way into a foreign country his complete YouTube setup. This is a guy who, if you don't appreciate him, you got to appreciate him now after hearing this. Ed Wallace is here with us from Africa, a remote location. It is a secret squirrel operation. So, Ed, welcome in. How are you doing over there?
Très bien.
You doing good?
Yes. Oui.
We
speak French where I am.
Oh, okay. All right. So, tell us a little bit about your travel and how long it took you to get to where you are. I don't mean to bring up bad memories, but how did it go?
Yeah, well, it was a nightmare. First of all, my flight out of JFK was on Delta to Paris, was 2 hours delayed getting into JFK. They were flying back from Heathrow, England, and they had a mechanical issue with the plane. Apparently, the luggage handlers damaged the door to the plane, and it took 2 hours to repair. All right, so we're 2 hours delayed. Now, I have a tight transfer connection flight in Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris. So I'm really worried if I'm going to make it. So the plane gets into New York at 8:30 p.m., and they don't start boarding the plane until around 9:45. Now, the plane is supposed to push back from the gate at 10:30 p.m. So we're boarded, and then there's no air conditioning in the plane. The plane is like boiling hot.
Ugh.
So everybody is sweating profusely. But at 10:30 comes and we're not pushing back and nobody's saying anything. And the door's still open to the plane. Then finally, we get an announcement from the pilot that we're on a hold because Delta needs a pilot to get on this plane to get over to Paris to fly another plane back to New York.
Jesus.
All right, so we didn't know how long that was going to take. But well, it turns out the pilot didn't board our plane until about 11:45 p.m.
Jeez.
And then the plane didn't take off till about 20 minutes after midnight.
No air conditioning on the plane while waiting.
While waiting, and we're sweating profusely.
Jesus.
And it's not a good look because while we're sweating and no one's talking to us and telling us what's going on, the flight crew are all drinking bottled water to cool themselves off. So finally, it starts to get a little heated in with the passengers complaining to the flight crew that we're not getting enough information about what's going on. Why are we being delayed? Why are you holding up, 340 people in this plane for one person?
Yeah,
we have connections. We have, got to get home or whatever.
Yeah.
So I get in the air and I'm on the internet and I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to make this connection.
Right. Yeah.
And when we land, I turned the internet back on and Delta had already changed my flight to the next day. So I'm stuck in Paris for a day. So I have to get off the plane, find a Air France transfer station, and figure out what's happening with my luggage, where am I going to stay the night, all this craziness. So I get there. They give me a hotel voucher for an airport hotel. And now during the flight, there was no air conditioning while we were waiting on the ground. They finally, after complaints, they handed out water. Then we get up in the air, and they turn the airplane into a meat locker. And it's freezing now, and everybody's complaining now that the plane is too cold.
From one extreme to the other.
Exactly. And I knew I was going to get sick because, there were people hacking all around me.
So
I caught a little postnasal drip, probably either an ear or sinus infection. And anyhow, so I got the medication, so I'm taking care of myself.
Right.
So we get to Paris, get to the hotel, sleep the night, get back to the airport, get on the plane, and now we're concerned that our luggage, which they held overnight at the airport, is not on the plane. I'm flying with a second person who's also stuck, but he was coming from the West Coast. So turns out my bags get on the plane. Only half of his bags get on the plane. And we get ourselves over to Africa. And his bag is missing. He has to do all the paperwork to find the bag. It's still back in Paris. We get picked up by our escorts and taken to our first hotel. And that hotel was not adequate.
Like a prison? I think that's the way you described it. It looked like a prison cell.
Yeah, it was very sparse. Big concrete block walls with razor wire around the outside, and no real place to go outside.
Yeah. This is a real cluster. And I said to everybody, this was a nightmare, and you're given the short version of this nightmare. We could go on probably for quite a long time with this one. It gets worse, but where he is now, it's like a 5-star compared to what he had there. 5-star. He's talking about exposed wires in the shower and all kinds of craziness. I mean,
leaking toilets. But anyhow, the team lead, thank God, takes control of the situation and notifies all the right people, and they come out, inspect, and say, "Oh, you're right," and they moved us out of there into a better location.
Yeah, so Gerda is from South Africa. I was leading our audience on during the week and saying that you were going to South Africa. You're not in South Africa. You're in Africa, but we're not going to give up your location. You're doing some, sensitive training and so forth. So I know that you don't want to give up, and rightfully so, Ed. I get it. But today we're going to talk about a whole bunch of different cases. We're going to talk about something that we haven't talked about in a long time, Cassie Carli. Marcus Benevello is still in jail in Florida. And I had communication right before I went to Aruba with her sister, with Rayanne. And she was like, Ron, we're so frustrated. Cassie Carli, as we know, was pretty much abducted at a child exchange in Florida, in South Florida. And we haven't heard anything in over 2 months from the medical examiner's office. Alabama is handling the toxicological analysis of Cassie Carli. And you and I talked about this, Ed. You had expressed concern that she perhaps was drugged with some type of drug. And this is where we're going with this thing. Is it typical that 2 to 3 months we're waiting for the medical examiner's office to job out a tox report?
Not where I come from. Here in the city, it doesn't take that long.
No. I mean, we would have had this stuff back in a reasonable, and what we would say reasonable is, a month. 30 days is reasonable, I think, but so, Cassie Carli, we're just in limbo, and we're just waiting for for the report to come back. And it's crazy because, granted, he is in custody, he's locked up, but we haven't had even a peep. Now, Rayanne said to me, is there a way that we could speed this thing up? Is there a way? And I was honest with her. I said, there's nothing that can be done. You're kind of like, held hostage to science. You got to wait for them to get this report. I said, call them. Don't badger them, but call them and ask them, hey, can I get an update? I'm just going to play quickly for the audience our last update that we had, which is 2 months ago. And this comes to you live from WFLA now. They're a South Florida news group. JB, great guy. We know and love them. These guys are, they're doing a great job with this. So let's share this to the screen. Ed can take another spot of tea or whatever he's having there, and get his voice back. He's coughing up a little bit. But Ed's going to be right because he's a trooper. Ed's a trooper. Here we go. This is the last update for Cassie Carli 2 months ago.
A brief update in the Cassie Carli investigation and the autopsy being performed in Alabama. The Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office has told me that the examination of Cassie Carli's remains, that portion of the autopsy process has been completed. However, Alabama officials are awaiting the toxicology results before the full autopsy report can be released, and we find out once and for all the cause of death for the 37-year-old mother from Navarre, Florida, who you might remember went missing during a custody exchange of her 4-year-old daughter. That exchange, of course, being with Marcus Spanavello, Cassie Carli's ex-boyfriend, who was arrested after deputies say he tampered with evidence, accused of throwing Cassie Carli's phone out of his vehicle's window the day that she went missing. Spanavello remains in jail on those charges. He is back here in Florida behind bars, and charges are possible in Cassie Carli's death pending the release of the autopsy results and what the cause of death actually is. I've been asking about when the toxicology results could come back and when we are going to get the full autopsy report. I could not get a definitive answer. Any updates on this story, I'll make sure I post it to my social media accounts, and also we'll have it for you, of course, on WFLA.com and the WFLA app.
Thank you, JB, for that. That's 2 months ago, Ed. I mean, I talked about reasonable, and you and I always speak about what's reasonable. And I think 30 days, or maybe Barbara had told us in some instances this could take, up to 8 weeks or more.
Well, here's an issue. If they ordered a standard tox, it should have come back before this. Now, apparently, from what I'm hearing, they don't have a cause or manner of death yet. So they were relying heavily on this tox. Now, if like normal street drugs were used to overdose or something like that, that should have been found by now. But if there was something exotic or something along the lines of, say, a ricin, a toxin like that, that's not done in the normal toxicology. So what I'm thinking might have happened, maybe something exotic like that was used. Well, I really shouldn't say exotic, because every year knuckleheads throughout the United States in the thousands produce ricin, which is illegal. It's a biological weapon made from castor beans, and so it's a nasty toxin. Okay, and so but there are others as well. There are other chemicals, and there are other toxins like botulism,
right?
Or that could have been used. And in the normal tox, you wouldn't be looking for that. So if a tox came back negative for, say, heroin, fentanyl, cocaine, now they got to go back and look for the more exotic stuff. Right.
I'm going to give you a moment, Ed. I know that you're, you have this coughing thing going on, but listen, like he said, they're going to probably take this step by step. And this is a clear indicator that, in no way, shape or form are we saying that, yes, these, the drugs that they're looking for are something sophisticated. But, I think what we would say here is common sense would prevail. The reason it's taking such a long time is because it's not something, like Ed just said, that's just your common street drug. So maybe he went and did something pretty sophisticated here that requires an additional additional testing that's outside the realm. Debbie McCullen, thank you for that $50 super chat. She says the work that you both do is amazing and so appreciated. Love you so much. Keep it up because it works. I want to also scroll back to a couple of other super chats that came in. Michelle C sends in a $5 super chat. She says, Ed, never connect through Heathrow. That airport always has been a nightmare.
Yeah, I don't normally know.
Yeah, but I don't think he had a choice. This stuff was all pre-planned for him, and he had to just kind of follow.
Well, I didn't. I went through Paris on this flight. Normally, though, when I'm doing these international flights to Middle East or Northern Africa or Central Africa, I'm going through either Germany or France.
Okay. Yeah. Melissa Morales, thank you for the $5 super sticker. I'm just scrolling back because there was a couple more, and I want to say hello to some of the people that are in the chat because there's a lot of people that are cheering you on, Ed, and people that may be concerned with your coughing. Wilesy Pony, thank you so much. She said, Ed, secret squirrel. With the squirrel emoji and some cool stuff, the American flag and an emoji of smiley face with sunglasses. Let me see how far I can go back. I think they're all the super chats are done. Kathleen Wilson, the serial killer. What a screen name right there. I guess that's a true crime buff right there. Mm-hmm. Clumsy Clairvoyance. Thank you for joining us. Aussie J, always good to see our Aussie friends in the chat. I wonder...
want to ask her what cereal she kills.
I wonder how Ian Dodor is doing, our good friend. He used to chime in on the chat, but I don't hear too much from him anymore. Mm-hmm. Ashley Oakes is here saying prayers for Ed. They're already praying for you, Ed.
I'm fine. I'm fine.
He's not going to the box anytime soon, folks. Sharon said she's been wondering about Cassie. Thank you, Ed and DutyRon, for the update. You guys are awesome. Thank you for watching us through our Facebook True Crime YouTube video share group and the Police and Crime chat group. That's what we're broadcasting live to here. Ed is in Africa, ladies and gentlemen, and he is kind enough to join us. Ed, could you give us a clue somewhere in what part or region of Africa, or is that am I prodding a little too much? I'm trying to.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I mean, where we are, they use the Central African franc as their currency.
Okay, so there's a little clue. Ed likes to throw out little blues clues to everybody. The Central.
Remember what I said earlier, right? They speak French here, right? Because most of this locations here were former French colonies.
French colonies, yes. Dr. Ed Moskowitz is Dr. Ed wants to diagnose what's going on. If he was there, he'd have the stethoscope out. He'd be listening to your chest. Okay, Ed, deep breaths.
Doc, I have a postnasal drip and sinus congestion and a cough. So I think it's either upper respiratory or possible ear. And I started a Z-Pack.
Okay, Ed self-medicated himself. He brought a Z-Pack with him, courtesy of probably his wife, I would imagine.
Listen, over here, you can walk into a pharmacy and get all these medicines without a prescription.
Okay, all right, good. Well, that's good to know. Ed has cough due to cold. And if anybody could name where that came from, what movie, I will send you a free DutyRon pen. The first one in the chat who says what that cough due to cold is from, what movie. That's a tough one.
No, it's not. I'm a trivia champion on that movie.
I'll say this. That's my Jenny. 8 Jenny's all. But yeah, cough due to cold. So yeah, Marcus Spanavello is not going anywhere. That's the good news. He's being held without bail, and he was extradited to Florida. So that's a good thing. Rayanne and the family, her dad, her brother, and the extended family, they're all just frustrated, and rightfully so. But they're such classy people that they're not out there going crazy. Clumsy Clairvoyant, send me a message on DutyRon.com. That was the first one that I saw. DutyRon.com, send me your address, and I'll send you a pen. So thank you. She got it. Forrest Gump. That's it, right there.
My name is Forrest Gump.
Yes, yes. That's my Jenny.
My Jenny.
Yeah. So when Jenny was sick and she was dying, he said, "Are you suffering cough due to cold?"
Said it to his mother too when she had cancer.
Yeah, he mentioned that twice in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, Ed Moskowitz, Dr. Moskowitz is giving you a little bit of Keflex. That's tough. That's heavy antibiotics. 500 milligrams, POQID. That's a script, Ed. You could take that to the pharmacy.
No, I can get that here.
So
let me write that down.
Keflex, 500 milligrams.
I have ciprofloxacin.
All right. Maybe you guys should link up. Maybe Dr. Ed should send me his. I think I do have their phone number. This is like having a doctor on call. So
I'm on it, Doc.
All right. Thank you for that, Doc. All right. Facebook user says, "Hi, dearest Ron. Greeting to you all, and special greetings to Ed. You get well soon. Love from Alex, and cheaper by the dozens +1." I see this person didn't authenticate on Facebook with StreamYard. If you authenticate with StreamYard on Facebook, then your name comes up. And let me go back to someone who did that and show you the difference. Where's a Facebook user? I'm just scrolling back in the chat. So this person didn't do it either. But I saw a few Facebook posts that were that the folks authenticated with the application. You just got to, here it is. So Sharon did it. So Sharon, you see how her Facebook profile picture comes up, and she authenticated and said yes to the StreamYard. Some people, I don't know, like Josh is like weird like that. He doesn't like to grant permissions to apps and stuff like that. And some people are like that, but it is what it is. So Cassie Carli, we're gonna follow this closely. Ed, you and I are gonna follow up on it. She sent me some links to the coroner's office where, like she was kind of asking me, "Hey, could you guys call over there?" And I was like, "Hey, listen, I don't want to piss anybody off." I said, let's just kind of wait it out and, hang, we've already waited this long. Let's wait. Maybe we'll get an answer soon. So I kind of left it at that. So Facebook user, you can go out and re-authenticate with StreamYard. Just grant them permissions to share your profile. So Dawn Marie is now trying to push the show along. Batman, good to see you. He's saying hi to you, Ed. I think that's a former member of the service. We can't go by the picture there, but I think that's former MOS. Yeah. Dylan Rounds. So there's not a lot going on in that case either, but I want to just assure everybody, not so much Ed, but I communicated with Ed. I communicate with Candace Cooley, Dylan's mom, on a regular basis. I get updates from her almost, daily, pretty much. I sometimes a day goes by and I don't talk to her, but for the most part, we text. I spoke to her late last night on the phone from my backyard. I had a fire going. It was kind of cool here in New York. Kim, thank you for the super sticker. Pamela says she's glad you got a Z-Pack. But I spoke to Candace Cooley, and she basically said that there's a couple of things happening, but they're, again, conversation that I have with her is private, so I don't give up everything that she's talking to me about, but there's nothing really of significance to talk about. There's 3 people, 2 suspects in custody, and there's a third piece that potentially could be involved in this thing. But again, there's nothing of significance for me to talk to you guys about, or Ed. I go to, and I want to just tell you this: if you want to look at some of the, let me share this with you guys, some of the most recent updates. Now, this is not the site that I'm telling you guys to go to, but I'm suggesting this guy right here, Jeremy Harris. He's a local news reporter in Salt Lake City. But he covers like a lot of Dylan Round stuff. So go to his Twitter and just type in Jeremy Harris, and you could look at his stuff. He has nothing as far as Dylan Round's updates. There's been some major fires and some things going on. I am in communication with him. So yes, here's some of his fire coverage. I'm in communication with him, but Ed and I are not the kind of folks that will just go live to talk to you about regurgitated, information that's, that you've already heard about. Our show, there's plenty of programs that you can go out there and watch where they'll just talk to you about the same thing over and over again, and maybe bringing up conspiracy theories or bringing up their thoughts and stuff. We don't do that here because I don't think it's productive. I mean, Ed,
the other day I was sitting in my room, had giggles. I went on YouTube and I looked at some of these other true crime bloggers, and all I heard was conjecture and conspiracy theories on their take on the Dylan disappearance. And I was like, well, that was a waste of time. I'll never get back.
Those minutes. Yep.
But it's interesting to see, how many people, eat that up.
Yeah, and I think it's really kind of like reality TV kind of ish, and people just want to hear things just to hear it. I guess. I mean, I don't know. For me, I don't want to get involved in that. And I listen. This is, I'll play just this little piece, and this is just from this is just a couple of minutes, but it's from. I'll give it to you. It's from July, I think, 10th. So here's a short update from July 10th, and really, if you look at it, there's really nothing else. There's really nothing else extra. When I look forward, there's nothing else extra, and there's nothing that I can give you from even speaking with Candace about additional information.
Begin tonight with new information and the ongoing search for a Box Elder County teenager. We've learned about a second person of interest in the case.
Yeah, this comes just 24 hours after we first reported a suspect had been named in Dylan Rounds' disappearance. News specialist Matt Rascone joins us live right now with more from investigators and from Dylan's family. Matt?
Yeah, Mike and Deanie, from the start, Dylan Rounds' family has said that he did not just walk away from his farm. Last month, the sheriff's office announced it was a criminal investigation. Today, that investigation led them to a family friend who's now a suspect.
The focus of the family has been just finding Dylan.
Nearly 6 weeks into the search.
We beat that desert to death.
Still no sign of Dylan Rounds.
It's been 40 days of hell.
But for the first time, investigators have named a suspect. 58-year-old James Brenner, who also happens to be Dylan's closest neighbor in the remote desert area of Lucin near the Nevada border.
Every little piece of information we get, you hold it so tight and you hope so badly it's going to lead to something.
Dylan's mom, Candace Cooley, says the family is acquainted with Brenner. At one point, he lived in a trailer on their property, helping Dylan bale hay.
Didn't know the man real well, but never had any reason for alarm.
The sheriff's office says interviews, evidence, and forensic data led them to Brenner, who is currently being held in jail on unrelated federal gun charges.
Whether or not they're the ones we want to hear, we want the answers.
Just days before Dylan was last heard from on May 28th, he had what family describes as a strange encounter with a man. The sheriff's office says that man is a person of interest in the case, and like Brenner, he's also facing unrelated federal gun charges.
We are doing everything.
Hey, Ed, I wanted to stop it there and come back to you. What's your feeling when they use that term, person of interest?
Well, the FBI has gotten burned so many times with this calling people suspects that they reverted to calling people persons of interest. But in reality, they're suspects.
Yeah.
So, they're focused on this, on these two individuals right now. And as you heard, there were, several reasons that they have, and forensic evidence is a part of it.
Yeah.
So, and they got him on a hold with the gun charges. That's totally unrelated, but they were able to arrest him and confine him, so he's not going anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the good news, is that he's not going anywhere. And I spoke about this a couple of nights ago. I know you're busy with the traveling, so I've been going live a little bit solo. When authorities have somebody in custody, it gives the upper hand to the good guys against the bad guys, because we can now go and do what we need to do without rushing or trying to get ahead of the game. We're already ahead of the game, and it gives us chances to dot our I's and cross our T's. And I know that you agree with this, Ed, because this is investigation 101. When you have that upper hand, it's just a tremendous.
Well, just think if they would have been able to get Brian Laundrie locked up before he disappeared and killed himself.
Yeah, we definitely would be looking at a different set of circumstances. He would be there would probably been a murder trial already commencing against him. And again, I wanted to show this video, and I'm going to go back to it because it really depicts the actual terrain that we're talking about in Lucin. I have word, and I looked on Google Earth live Google Earth images show that Dylan Rounds was already doing some planting even before the seed that he was talking about, trying to get that truck out. There's parts of his farm that's growing, and you could look at that on Google Earth live on satellite imagery, which is interesting to say the least.
Remember what I said back when we first started this story, is that this is one of those areas in the country where it's sparsely populated. It's a lot of land, very little people, and people of dubious characters go hide in these places. And remember when I was talking to Dylan's mom, and she was saying, everybody's got a gun out there. And I said, yeah, and if you really looked into it, probably everybody was carrying these guns illegally and should be arrested.
Yeah. Now,
they go to places like that because they know the law enforcement is spread thin in these locations, and they're not going to pay attention to them.
Yeah, it's true. And it's so remote, and people, I've seen interviews with even locals and heard audio interviews with locals, is that they talk about people that want to get off the grid and get away from the rat race, go out to these type of locations. And, there was a story from a couple of years ago, and I'm trying to reach out to this guy, but there was a person from the United Kingdom that came over to the United States to live in Lucin, Utah, and he was billed as the only resident of that area. I think it was 2018, and there was a woman who was in her pickup truck, and it was during the winter, and it snows there in the winter, and she got stuck for 6 days out in the middle of this desert in Lucin, right in that area, not exactly that area, but in this close proximity of where Dylan his farm is. And he still has an airplane, fixed wing double engine airplane, and this guy went out in his airplane and found this woman. He still lives there in an airplane hangar. He's a minimalistic liver, is with the way he lives, off the grid, kind of self-sufficient, things of that nature. I've already reached out to the guy and sent him a message. He hasn't responded, but I'd love to hear his take and see if he would be willing to get up in that airplane and fly. Maybe he's already did it. Maybe he's already done that. But I found it a fascinating story. I may share that with you guys. And it just goes to show you, what goes on in this area and how remote it is, and how people go there to escape the so-called rat race, which is interesting. I mean, it just makes it really tough for people to search. And you heard Candace say on that interview, we beat the desert to death. And, that was kind of a lack of better words. I'm sure that if she could take that back, she wouldn't have said that. But she described it, that we really looked in that desert up and down for my son. And, there's always places that you could recheck. And Dave Rader talks about this with us a lot, Ed. He always says, sometimes you miss stuff and you want to go back over it. And he talked about that with the summer wells. I asked him, hey, what was the reason why you were going back to Beach Creek to search for summer wells? And he said, there's some areas that I wanted to double check that I felt that we could have missed. And look at how many times divers miss cars in water and people dead in them, for 20 years and stuff like that. People were sitting down.
Yeah. And then you got a thing like what's happening, was it Lake Mead and the shortage, the drought over there, and the water has dropped, and now they're finding all these bodies and cars and other things that were dumped in the lake. Yeah,
absolutely. Matty Boy Sully says this is an unforgiving place.
That's right. People think they're survivalists, and then when they go to places like this or Alaska and they get out there, and they realize, maybe I wasn't really equipped to handle this kind of life.
Yeah, exactly. Will says there was a woman who broke down in Lewiston last week and was nearing Montello, and she called police immediately because she knew how high risk she was now. It's sad. The woman that I was referring to back in 2018, she was also living out in remote areas. So she was a survivalist herself. So she had those meal things that you talked about, that you said you were all those prepared meals, those MRE called. And she said the only reason she survived is because she had, self-sustaining, self-sufficient stuff packed in her car. She was there for 7 or 8 days. Oh, wait, she was there 11 days actually before she was rescued. So, and the reason she got rescued is this guy saw her, and there was a snow plow coming through, and she was blocking the plow's path. But that's how remote of an area she was in. Nobody saw her for 11 days. And then some plow guy, just came across her, and at the same time, simultaneously, the guy was in the plane and reporting that he saw a disabled car. Anyways, I just thought it would be a good story to depict this area and show some of the the difficulties of this terrain. I thought this guy would have really good insight into that. Ed, before we end, because I know you got limited time, and who knows what's going to happen with the internet there. You got a strong signal. It's pretty good.
So far, so good. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to talk about Uvalde. I know, you and I, it just makes us, cringe.
Sick.
It's sickening. But, I did a live, I think on Thursday, and I asked again the audience, what was their thoughts on Pete Arredondo? Should he be fired? And I don't even think that he should be granted the option to step down, because we know from police work that if you're able to sign off on your own retirement or retire early, and you get the permission from the police chief, police commissioner, you get your pension. I don't think this guy deserves his pension. That's how far I'm going with this. And you don't hear me often say that. I don't like to, say things like that, but I don't feel that he even deserves to get his pension.
Well, I don't understand how he can still be the police chief of this school district and be an elected official at the same time.
Well, he stepped down. He actually stepped down from city council. He resigned from a city council elected position. Mm-hmm. But he took a leave of absence. So we know it's a paid leave of absence. So he took a paid leave of absence, which to me is he's getting paid, and he can put his papers in and retire. And that to me is sickening. But
but he's just one cog in this wheel. If you look at all those officers in that videotape, they, and they're what they did, or more to the point, what they didn't do.
Yeah, they're all.
Where's their accountability?
I could go as far as saying they all should be removed from there. They should not be police officers. And I hate to say that, but it's true. Standing in that hallway and hearing the first 17 shots go off. And there was 2 guys, as you and I spoke, there was 2 guys with AR-15s, 2 police officers with ARs, 2 with handguns, but all of them had heavy vests on. And they were down that hallway. They heard 17 shots and did nothing. Let's listen to this from the president of the Police Chiefs Association in I think nationwide. But let's listen to this story. This is going to be interesting, to say the least. This is on Uvalde.
We've seen time and time again reaction. As we have seen time and time again, reaction to the video inside Robb Elementary has been overwhelming. Well, tonight we talk with the president of the Texas Police Chiefs Association to get his take. Chief Jimmy Perdue, in his own words.
Even a single officer has the responsibility to go stop the killing, and that did not happen. Those individuals need to be reviewed. Each individual action needs to be assessed. Human frailties kicked in. I mean, we teach the issue of, there's a concept called push versus hold. From the time the officers came in the door, I counted 17 rounds that were fired before the officers were actually fired upon. And so that tells me that they knew exactly where the gunman was. They knew that there was an active shooter situation going on. And the rules of that are very, very clear. We are supposed to go push the issue, push towards the gunman, stop the killing. And that just did not occur. That was not the right decision, and the one that I'm sure they regret as well, but one that we're going to have to assess as a profession.
Elementary has been overwhelming. Well, tonight we talk with the president of the Texas Police Chiefs Association.
This is, again, I thought it was the nationwide or national. This is the president of the Texas Police Chiefs Association. I want you guys to hear it one more time, because what he said, I and myself and Ed Wallace have said this, and we continue to say this time and time again.
To get his take, Chief Jimmy Perdue, in his own words.
Even a single officer has the responsibility to go stop the killing, and that did not happen. Those individuals need to be reviewed. Each individual action needs to be assessed. Human frailties kicked in. I mean, we teach the issue of, there's a concept called push versus hold. From the time the officers came in the door, I counted 17 rounds that were fired before the officers were actually fired upon. And so that tells me that they knew exactly where the gunman was. They knew that there was an active shooter situation going on. And the rules of that are very...
This is the first look that we're getting outside of the school classrooms. I want to put us back on here. This look at the classrooms from the outside, clearly, these are not huge windows, right? But clearly, it gives you, let me just back it up a little bit more. It gives you a clear indicator. Now, this may not be the shooter's side. This may be the side of the where the classrooms where the shootings weren't happening. But even if this is the actual side, this gives us a good depiction of, hey, listen, it would be risky, and probably the first officer going in there would take gunfire. But if he was being diverted by shots at the top of that door from inside the hallway, and he was paying attention to that hallway, you might have been able to get a shot from him right outside that window. You got
you get some. You'd have some suppression fire, and covering fire. And
but he has cover of that building for all his vital organs. You could put a shield up, ballistic shield, and put your rifle through it, and you got vision of him. And they could have. Oh man.
There's so many things that could have been done. Flashbangs, a number of things. But obviously, this is not the outside of where the shooter was.
Right. I mean, I don't know. But this is definitely that school, because you could see it. This is how that school's set up. That footage is from Robb Elementary School.
Look, I said it in the post.
Look at the post.
I said it in the post. Leaders lead and followers follow. And I don't care what your training is, what the danger is, or what supervisor said to stand down. I don't give a shit. If you're a real cop, you go in. That's what your job is. You go in, you take the risk, you worry about that later. If you know people are being slaughtered, you don't wait in the hallway, whether it's one cop or two cops. The first officer in that group that was in there, if that one officer just one of them would have charged into that room, I guarantee you others would have followed them. Okay. And this person would have been put down before he got the numbers that he got to.
I agree. It's just so disheartening. And like you said, and I said it too, it's a black eye for all law enforcement, but it's not indicative of what bravery is exhibited by the men and women across the country. This is not fair to lump everybody into this thing, but it is fair for us to say that everybody and anyone who was there during that 78-minute period and didn't say, hey, F this, we're going in, there's kids being slaughtered in there. How in God's name could nobody have had that conversation And how, in God's name, did nobody do anything about
It
it?
shouldn't have been a conversation that needed to be had. You should have just went in. That's been the training since Columbine. All of this changed since Columbine. We do not wait.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's been, they have this whole situation has set law enforcement back decades.
Decades. Yeah. I have a video that shows this kid crashing his truck. I want to cue it up, but I got to find it. So, Ed, I'm going to let you just talk a little bit more about, I know you know about active shooters. You wrote articles about it. Do you want to just talk just a little bit about it while I search for this thing?
Well, I'm part of a training consortium for Homeland Security that teaches all of these courses on active shooter, run, hide, fight, campus security, things of this nature. So the doctrine is no matter if it's one officer, two officers, you go. You suppress, excuse me, you suppress the shooter. You put yourself between the shooter and the victims. That's our job. Okay. We don't run away from gunfire. We run towards it. And I did that my whole career. And when I watched this videotape, I was sick, literally sick to my stomach watching this. I wanted to vomit, yelling at the television, screaming at the officers. Yeah. And I said, and to find out that they just had a school shooting training program just a week or two before this incident. I said, well, what did they learn? What did they do?
Yeah. Yeah. It's sickening on so many different levels. And for me, people say, oh, well, they didn't have the proper training. I see so many comments coming in. Oh, they didn't have the proper training, but they got it just weeks before this,
I don't care. I don't care.
But it should have been fresh in their minds, Ed. It should have been fresh in their minds. And that's what makes this whole thing so.
What did we do before we called it active shooter? All right. When we got a 911 dispatch call or a 1013 shots fired, you went. You didn't drive in the opposite direction of the call. You went to the call. You got out and you engaged.
Right.
Before the term active shooter became popular, okay, or school shooter or whatever the case may be, okay? We went. We engaged. We didn't run away. We tried to, confine and isolate the shooter, right? We try to do all those things, but inevitably, sometimes the trigger has to be pulled.
Yeah, absolutely. And there was, Ed, that was great. Great point. You have to make a decision. It's either shit or get off the pot. But when you have 17 rounds being fired in initial response with 4 guys that were on all accounts heavily armed, you had 2 AR-15s. They had multiple magazines with those AR-15s. You had 2 guys with handguns, and you had the troops, the cavalry, as we always refer to it, as on their way, because the 2 mortuary guys who were shot at called 911 multiple times and said, hey, there's somebody with an assault rifle going into Robb Elementary School. So we're going to hear those tapes. They're going to be coming up soon. And when you hear those, it's going to make it even more outrageous, because the guys who were in there initially and got shot at, they chose to retreat and then not ever go back. They all of a sudden, within 3 to 5 minutes, you had double the amount. You had, I think they talked about 19 law enforcement personnel on the scene in another 3 to 5 minutes after that. So now you have almost 20 guys and gals there. You could make a rush in. And I talked about our civil wars where we used to see people lined up, on each side, and they'd march at each other with their rifles pointed and they just shoot. Just go in there and, like you said, put that suppression fire down. Hey, listen, I want to change this up just a little bit. I want to make this, I know it's going to be hard to do, but I'm going to gift 5 memberships to people. If you want to become a member of Crime Time with DutyRon, put in the chat me. And this, you have to be live for this. So when you watch the replay, don't put in me in the comment section because it won't work. I don't want to mislead people, but I want to give away 5 memberships, and this is courtesy of Ed and myself. So 5 memberships to, you have to be subscribed. Here's 2 things that you got to do. You have to be subscribed. You have to put me, and you can't be on Facebook. You have to be watching us on YouTube to be eligible. They do it randomly, and I want to do this because I just thought that I wanted to switch this just for a minute. I just wanted to switch this for a minute. So Polygraph is here. Sonia Mason is already a member. I'll give a couple of people the chance to come over from Facebook and come on to YouTube. Make sure you signed in the app and you put me, and we're going to give away 5. Let me give away 10. Let me, Ed, should we do 10?
Sure, why not?
All right, let's do 10. I'll do 5 and 5. How about that? All right, so everybody's here. Everyone's here from Facebook. I'll just give it another 20 seconds, and then we'll do 5, and then we'll do 5 more. We'll get everybody all excited. Who's it going to be? Wow, look at all these people. And if you're new, Hoppy is here. She is not new. If you're new, let us know that you're new and watching for the first time. Here we go. Here goes 5. Ed, as long as my credit card goes through. It went through. There it goes. So we gifted 5. Let's see who gets it. It's going to tell us in a second. Okay, Jennifer Clark, Nicole Yancer, Tina Gaines, Christelle McCormick, and Daycare Mama was gifted. Those are the 5. Congratulations to those 5 new 30-day free membership to Crime Time with DutyRon. You're entitled to watch all of our members-only lives that we've done, become a member of our Discord group, and all of the things that you get in memberships. Definitely take advantage of that. It's a lot of good stuff.
Congratulations, folks. Thank you.
Yes, congratulations. That's on behalf of Ed Wallace and DutyRon, Crime Time with DutyRon. It comes from, the great people who subscribe and become members and pay. Remember that it's only 30 days. It's a trial. And I hope that each and every one of you who have been gifted these memberships consider continuing after that 30 days. We need your support to continue to do all of the good work that we do. So Ed, here it is. Kayla is asking, is Ed sick? She's late. I'm
going to be fine, folks. Please, I see all the medical advice there. Don't worry, I have albuterol. I have, the steroid inhalers. I have all the stuff that I've been through this before. I know what it is. It'll play its course, and I'll be rid of it within a day or 2.
Everybody loves you, Ed. So that's the thing,
I feel the love. I do really feel the love.
Yeah. They're all, and I know that in the chat, in the comments underneath the video, there's going to be quite a bit of people inquiring about how you're doing in the coming days. So keep us updated.
I'll be back.
Yeah. If we don't go live in the next 3 or 4 days, people are going to be wondering, like, hey, what happened to Ed? Mm-hmm. A couple of our South African friends might travel to your part of the region and make sure that you're okay. So
okay.
All right. So we're going to do 5 more, right? Are we, Ed?
Sure.
That was our word. We stick to our word. I encourage anybody that's watching that wants to be that feels like they could be maybe a little misty today and want to maybe give away. I encourage anybody who can afford to gift 5 memberships. It costs $24 to give 5 memberships, so it's $24.99 for the month. Ed's got the water. We see it.
Bottled water only, Patricia. I don't drink tap water.
All right, so there you go.
In these countries,
yeah, you got to be careful. So yeah, if you can afford to gift the memberships, definitely try to do it. I greatly appreciate people that do that. There's Ed showing off his bottled water. All right, let's do it. Let's rock and roll. Make sure you're subscribed. Everybody here, let's see how many thumbs up we got. We only got 227 thumbs up. I'm gonna wait till we hit 300 to give out the next 5. So guys, if you can, guys and girls, it's nothing, costs nothing. Hit the thumbs up on this video. Let's get it up to 300, and let's give away a couple more memberships, DutyRon memberships. Ed, while we're doing it, I want to ask you about Harmony Montgomery. and then we're going to talk about our boys in California City. But Harmony Montgomery, man, we saw a flurry of activity out at that location. It's a month later. They didn't even tell us. They didn't even say, hey, we watched them take a piece of carpet out. We watched pieces of sheetrock being removed.
Tile, floorboards. They took the refrigerator. And it turns out that wasn't the refrigerator at the time that Harmony's parents and Harmony may have been there, that the landlord had changed the refrigerator between tenants.
Right.
So, I mean,
what the hell is going on there? I mean, what gives on the Harmony Montgomery case? I mean, are we looking at, similarities in them analyzing and waiting to process what they recovered, like Cassie Carli? Is that what we're looking at? Are we going to be waiting months?
The FBI's evidence response team is, as I said earlier, is laboratory centric, meaning that they just want their guys to pick up everything in the field and send it down to Quantico to the lab, and the lab will perform all the testing and analysis in the laboratory. So whatever they gathered up there got shipped down to Quantico in Virginia. And I imagine the lab is meticulously going through everything and trying to see if the bathroom walls and shower and all that plumbing or whatever the case may contain some kind of evidence or DNA of our hair and fiber of our missing victim here.
Yeah. Hey, Ed, I wanted to ask you, because a lot of people ask about this, and you just reminded me when you talked about the refrigerator. MC and PC, we're going to get into that in a minute because I forgot to talk about that. But just give us a second on that one. That's going back to Uvalde. What could be possibly residue-wise left behind in a refrigerator? Argument's sake, it's been there for over a year and a half, 2 years or more. What could still be left? And to expand further, what could be left on the sheetrock, the carpet, and so forth that they took out of there that they're able to recover down in Quantico or wherever they're going to be processing that? But the refrigerator first. Start with that. Okay.
Well, so most of the interior surfaces of a refrigerator are plastic. So it's not as if, the material, genetic material, fluids, body fluids, blood, things of that nature, decomp fluid would just adhere to the surface, dry on it. But I mean, if the refrigerator is maintenance, you would clean up those surfaces. But like any other fluid follows gravity, seeks the low point. There are always crevices for anybody who's ever took apart a refrigerator to try to clean it. There's always crevices in the refrigerator that you can't get access to, and that fluids could potentially get leaked in there and settle in behind the surfaces that you don't have access to. And while you may think that you've cleaned it, that material is still there. And if you meticulously take apart the refrigerator, it could be there. The same could be said about flooring, tongue and groove wood floors or engineered floors that click together. Well, body fluids will go down in those areas. And while you can clean up the surface, and you may not get your cleaning down deep into those areas where that material can be found. And again, I've done that too. I lifted, so they said somebody was killed and put into a closet where he was bleeding. Well, surface examination of the wood on inside the closet floor, you didn't see anything to your latent eye, and then subsequent alternate light source applications, you saw cleanup attempts. Then tore open the floor to find blood. Yeah. And collected that and shipped it off, and the DNA would match the person that was allegedly killed. Same thing with wallboard. Wallboard is porous, so it absorbs liquids. So if blood, body fluids, or whatever got into the wallboard, it would have to be, it would probably still be there. It's very difficult to clean that up. And then the FBI would have to painstakingly try to extract it from that gypsum material.
Ed, do you need a minute? I mean, I don't want you dying on us here during the course of this video because it's
I'm not going to die.
You're trying to hold back the coughing, and I could see that because I remember that with COVID. Like as I would talk, it would make me feel like I want to cough. So
it's just, you know, what's really aggravating to me is like this postnasal drip is what's causing the cough, and I can't seem to stop it no matter what decongestant or antihistamine I take. It's like someone turned on a faucet.
Look at Dog Defender saying, Ed, are you okay? I want to make you tea, honey and lemon. Listen, Ed is just, he's traveling outside the country, so he got a little bit of something going on, upper respiratory kind of head cold, congestion, postnasal, as he's talking about. But anyways, this is fascinating information because Ed, as you know, some of you might not know, he's a crime scene unit retired first grade detective, the highest grade New York City detective that there could be. And he's a forensics expert. So that's why I'm asking him these questions about the items removed in Harmony Montgomery, because we all are curious about it. There's people talking on the internet about it. There's been a whole flurry about Harmony Montgomery and what did they remove and why aren't we hearing anything about it. We even heard Harmony's biological mom, who has no parental rights to Harmony. They were taken away and given to her monster animal father, Adam Montgomery. But she's frustrated because nobody's telling her anything. They're not giving her anything. They're not giving her any type of tidbits on, what evidence they, if any, that they got out of there. And it's natural to be frustrated. But as a mother who gave birth to Harmony, Crystal Sorey, she wants to know what's going on, and as do everybody. Everyone that's following these true crime cases, Cassie Carli, Summer Wells, every case that we cover, there's that curiosity that everybody wants to know what is going on behind the scenes. And it's so important that you guys realize that police and investigators, they're not looking to torture us. They're looking to get a successful prosecution, make that arrest, get a successful prosecution, and get a guilty verdict. So thank you, Dr. Ed and Julie, for the $20 super chat. They say, DutyRon and Ed, thank you for your professionalism, platinum, and persevering. Well, thank you, Doctor. Thank you so much. All right, we got over 300, only 316 thumbs up. I guess we hit our thumbs up limit, Ed. Not as many people like us as we thought, So it's okay. It's all right though. I'm still going to give away 5 more memberships because I promised at 300 I would. If we hit 500, I might do something even more. But let's do this. Let's give the 5 more away.
I just got to say, if our viewers are wearing a mask because I'm coughing, you need to seek some help.
Did somebody say that? I think it was a joke, Ed, but that is funny. All right. Let's give some people some Popeye. Who wants to see my bird cam? How about Popeye vision? Anybody want to see a little bit of the cam of my 35 years? July 31st, he'll be 35 years old. Here's a little Popeye cam. Let's give it to him. So there he is. It's a little dark because I got the lights off. There's a light right above him, but I have it off, and that's his cage. That's where he stays, and it's never locked. It's never closed. And that's a look at the background here. Oops. I dropped the phone and spilled water. So that's not good, Ed.
No.
It's all right. So that's a little bit of Popeye cam. All right. Hopefully this doesn't leak into my keyboard, but I do have a cover on it. All right, guys. Let's give away 5 memberships to the folks as we look at Popeye cam, Popeye vision. Popeye, you want to say hello to them? He's stretching right now. So I'm not sure how good that is coming across. Ed, are you on with the hang sang? Are you checking the pockets from there? All right, let's remove Popeye and let's do the memberships. All right, that was cool. We showed the bird.
What's the word?
The word is the bird. All right, here goes the 5.
Bird.
So I just gifted 5 more. Total of 10 in this live stream. Let's see who gets it. Me, please. Me. I just did it. Beth, Amanda, Dog Defender, excellent. Shell 73, and Box Seats was gifted a membership. Box Seats, nice. There you go. Yeah.
Wait a minute. If you have box seats, you don't need our membership.
She or he should be gifting memberships himself or herself. Box Seats. But congratulations to the new channel members. That's 10 so far. God, I think this month I gifted out over 100 memberships. Ed. So
Hey, I don't have a Cara cam like you have a Popeye cam, but I do have this. I don't know if you can see this.
Oh, look at that. Adorable. Hold on. Let me go full screen with Cara.
Let me see.
Yeah, there it is. Right there. It's good. She is adorable.
She's on my desktop now on my phone. She's getting so big.
Nice. Yeah, I saw some video and I had it saved, but I don't have it saved here on my computer. But there's a video of her swimming across your pool, and that is really adorable. That's really cute.
Oh, she's such a strong swimmer. So
Wow.
I introduced her to the water, and I started training her how to enter and exit the swimming pool, where not to go, and and then how to swim. So she's very strong. So she can swim the whole length of the pool now.
Yeah. So she's good with those web feet going back and forth. And between you and your wife and all the training that you're doing, she's before you know it, she's going to be, if Ed falls in the pool and has some type of respiratory issue, she'll grab him right out of the pool and rescue him. So. Oh
yeah, she is very defensive of us.
Oh yeah. I can't wait to see that dog. Labs are smart working dogs and they love to swim. Absolutely, 100%. So let's say hello to our friends in the chat. Sherilyn Schofner, good to see you. Polygraph says congratulations to all the new winners. Arctic Cat is here. Black Rose 11. Gerda is over in South Africa. She's here. Dog Defender is a new channel member. Congratulations, Dog Defender. I love that screen name. And we appreciate all of the replay viewers. You guys are what makes this a great place, is the replays, the lives, the moderators that we have here. This community is second to none when it comes to respect for victims and their families and respect for each other. I love the great community that we've built here, Ed. And, Ed chiming in from Africa, it just goes to show you, like he said to me, hey, Ron, I'm going away until the end of the month. But guess what? I'm bringing my stuff. I'm bringing my stuff with me. And I was like, Ed, that's what makes you the man.
Whoa.
There you go,
Step away from the vehicle.
Hold on.
Shots fired, Central. Shots fired.
Shots fired. Send me more. All right. So, yeah, we're at an hour. So let's wrap it up. I want to say thank you to everyone who is channel members, the folks who go and pay for their channel memberships. It's 30 days, so I can't gift you memberships forever. So I'm hoping that each and every one of you who are gifted these channel memberships, you consider becoming a part of this family. We are going to do a couple more of the members only live streams. I think I'm going to have one tomorrow with Twyla Cisco, the search coordinator from EquiSearch, and Dave Rader. So I think tomorrow in the afternoon around this time, around midday, I think we're going to have a members only live stream. So make sure you set your calendars and, set your reminders. And we're going to talk about not only Dylan Rounds, but we're going to talk about Aiden Clune, another young man who went missing over in Lucin, Utah, and around that area. Because Twyla and EquiSearch is helping out Aiden's mom to do some searching for him. So I just found that out recently that EquiSearch is on the case for Aiden Clune. So that's good news. Anytime we have somebody who's missing and we have some people helping them in a positive way. Now, I'm not referring to people who are, bad-mouthing and dogging victims' families. That's toxic shitty behavior. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about anytime someone actually extends a hand to try to help and, you know, tries to get their story out there in a positive way and not toxic. That's a good thing. And that's what we got going on going forward with these two cases. So thank you, Prudence Crossman. That's a new name. I've never seen this name in the chat. Prudence Crossman says, awesome channel. Thank you. I appreciate it. If you guys are new, anybody's new, first time joining this live stream, let me know by just putting a new in the chat. You could just put new across the screen. Let me know. Schmitty is sending, wait a minute, there was 2 super chats. Cannot give 1 membership gift. It starts at 5. I save my money for smart comments like this. Thank you, Schmitty. Thank you. I understand. I was just trying to encourage other people to pay it forward like what I'm doing here, if you can do it. Again, there's so many of us that can't afford to do that, and I understand that. You know, we're all on fixed budgets, and some folks can do it, and others can't. You know, so there's been a lot of people like I know MysteryMaven gifted memberships. Matty Boy Sully did it. There's quite a few of you out there that did it, and I know Dr. Ed was trying to inquire on how to do it. It's not easy to do it. You have to be on your desktop. You can't do it from your phone. A lot of people look at their phones and like, oh shoot, can I send a couple of free memberships? But you can't do it that way. I'm just looking back because I know Schmitty sent a couple of super chats. I can't find it. Anyways, thank you so much to each and every one of you for being here. I think that we already covered everything that we need to cover here. These cases that we are speaking about, Cassie Carli, the Uvalde shooting, Harmony Montgomery. Oh, I wanted to touch quickly before we wrap. There was a hearing for Sincere and Classic, Orrin and Orson West. Ed, you're still muted. There was a hearing yesterday, and it was supposed to be pretrial hearings, and they were supposed to start commencing jury selection and so forth, and there was going to be more activity, and they postponed the trial because the defense for Trezelle and Jacqueline West asked the court for extra time. And what the extra time was is they could review all of the discovery. They needed more time to review the discovery. And that's unusual sometimes for the defense to say that. Lena, thank you so much for becoming a new member. We appreciate you. Lena Pelich, I think I'm saying that right. Pelich, thank you for becoming a YouTube member. So Jacqueline and Trezelle's defense team asked for more time to review the documents. Supposedly there's hundreds of documents. And they asked for more time. And I think that they're looking at either September or October. I don't have the exact date in my head, but I know it's way pushed forward in the future. They requested more time to review the documents. And that's, a good defense attorney wants to make sure that they have everything, but they've had so much time to look at these things. Ed, what's your feelings on that? I know you're not a criminal defense attorney, but
it just seems to be a delay tactic.
Yeah. Delay tactic to give them more time to come up with some type of defense. Or
to get their private investigators out there, maybe harassing some of the witnesses.
Right. And you know what? MysteryMaven, who's an attorney, I'd like to know what her thoughts are on that. I know that she, I saw in my feed that she did a video about this. MysteryMaven, you have any thoughts on it? Do you want to chime in, MysteryMaven? I'll share the link with you if you want to come for a couple of minutes. I'll share it in the chat. So maybe she'll want to come and give us her professional thoughts. And she could just do it by audio. She doesn't have to come on with video. There's the link, MysteryMaven, if you want to join. Ed, you got to go?
I'm good.
Okay. Yeah, so it's really frustrating. They were locked up on March 1st. That was your birthday. Right?
Yes.
We're never going to forget that. So Trezelle and Jacqueline West, March 1st, arrested for the murders of Sincere and Classic, Orrin and Orson West. They reported them missing from California City in 2020. And they also got charged with making a false police report. These folks have been sitting rotting in jail since March. And now we're looking at no light at the end of the tunnel for this trial to commence. Because don't forget, they have to, it's not going to be easy to get, to interview and get people from that area that are going to say, listen, we never heard anything about it. But I know that they'll work it out and they'll get it done. It's going to happen in Kern County. I'll tell you that right now. That trial is not going to be moved. It's not going to be the change of venue. That's bullshit. They were able to try the officer who killed George Floyd in that community there. You cannot come up with an argument that you can't get a jury pool that's fair and impartial, because that thing was plastered all over the internet every day, all day, that video of George Floyd being murdered. And they were able to get a jury assembled in that area. So I would say that it would be difficult to ask for a change of venue. And I don't think that they won't. They'll probably try it. But
well, they do have the option of having a judge trial.
Right, a bench trial. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what happens. But anyway, so I shared it. I don't know if MysteryMaven's got to do hair and makeup and she's got to get herself ready, but she's there as I said it. So Jess is just going to be audio only. I wish there was a picture of her in that little circle. But beggars can't be choosers. I wanted everyone to see like a little picture of her instead of it just being blank. But let's add her in. Jess, how are you, hon? Oh, wait, she left and she's going to make that. I know her. She's going to correct it and put her little picture in there so everybody can see. But anyways, MysteryMaven is an attorney. She's got some experience in the criminal defense field. She's got experience in a lot of different aspects of law. So she is going to join us. I know she's going to come right back. How many people in the chat have been following Sincere and Classic, Orrin and Orson West? How many of you guys have been following this case closely? It's in Bakersfield, California. Let me know by putting a number 1 in the chat if you have been following it. If you haven't been following it, put a number 2 and let me know what your thoughts are on Sincere and Classic, Orrin and Orson West. Jess, how are you, hon?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Hey, so what's your thoughts on the defense asking for more time to review the discovery?
Well, to be honest with you, I was not that surprised, only because this case has kind of been fast-tracked when you look at it in comparison to other cases. Because I think it was back in May, if I don't have it in front of me, but I don't remember the exact dates, but I think it was May that it came down, the indictments and everything. So it wasn't really a lot of time in my mind to really prepare and to look at everything, considering that they claim that there's been a lot of search warrants issued and there must be a lot of evidence in the case. So of course, with the gag order,
there was 44 search warrants conducted in this case.
Right. So, I mean, I don't think that it was a delay tactic myself. I think that it's likely that they needed time to look at everything. Of course, I would like to see this thing move forward. I was not surprised, but I was frustrated hearing that it's going to be postponed. It's bumped out to October 24th now. So we'll see what happens during that time. And unfortunately, with that gag order on the case, it's impossible to really know what the details are with everything.
Right. But, when they talk about extensive amounts of discovery, they've already had months and months. The discovery was given over to them, I think, shortly after the arrest. So it's not like there's additional discovery being collected going forward. And if there is any, it's minimal, and they have to give that up. So why more time? You think it's more time for them to build on a defense, or is it just time for them to review and see what their defense could be?
I mean, I definitely think it definitely could be either one. I mean, there's a chance that they want to come up with something else to present as a defense. One of the things that I had in mind was, is it possible that they're talking about plea bargains? I mean, it's hard to know because of that gag order. But I did wonder about that. And there was no indication to my knowledge at this readiness hearing if there was any discussion of that or anything. But that's something else that could be going on in the background. But I do feel like it wasn't a lot of time. These attorneys, they have private practices, and they're also part of the Kern County Indigent Defense Team. So they do this work as pro bono work. That's my understanding of how they came into the case.
Right.
So I don't think it's that unusual that they needed the additional time. But that's just my feeling on it. Really, we don't know, because that gag order, it's so hard to say.
My gut feeling is, given the amount of people that testified in the grand jury, the witnesses they say they have, that it's more a circumstantial case as opposed to a forensics case. I don't think they have much in terms of forensic evidence. I think what they have are conversations and conspiracy type conversations, going back and forth, text messaging, what they may have done, or, what happened and where they disposed the body, things of that nature might be found in conversations in digital and text and stuff like that.
Yeah, right.
And we also saw and heard from the criminal defense team, and they, in my eyes, I was pretty vocal about it. I felt that they made fools of themselves. There were some things and comments. Remember, Jess, we had that press conference that they had, and it just didn't seem like they were all together. And I don't like to jump on a bandwagon and dog people, but they just didn't seem like everybody was saying, oh, they got this top-notch defense team. And I mean, the male and female defense attorneys, or one, on Jacqueline's side and the other one on Trezelle's, didn't seem to be like they were on top of everything. And they didn't seem professional when they were speaking. Did you remember watching that press conference? The guy was sweating profusely and the whole thing. Did you see that?
I did see that, and I felt like they just weren't up to speed, because I did a little bit of not a background check, but a little into the attorneys representing them. And I know Hennessy, who is representing Trezelle, he's got extensive work in criminal defense.
Right. He's got 10 years at it, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's and even, I think even when he was in law school, he did a lot of stuff. He was always in the public defender's office, and he's got a lot of accolades, I think. But I got the impression that they just weren't up to speed.
Right.
Because I agree with you. They definitely gave off that impression.
Yeah.
I was just trying to find it, Ed. I was trying to look because I have a whole folder on them, and I wanted to play it, but it was a long.
The presser, you mean the presser they gave?
Yeah.
And the Spanish and so forth.
Yeah. It was like it was almost like I was watching a circus show. I'm telling you, I was like, we got this. This is going to be a slam dunk because these guys suck. Jess dropped off and then came back. Let's see. Are you back, Jess?
I'm here. Yeah, sorry.
Okay. I don't know what happened there. So I'm trying to look for my folder that I have for the boys and see if I can quickly pick it out, because I think it's in there. Hold on a second. Yeah, and that was just like it was almost like a circus show when I was watching them talk. It was just like, really? This is the defense for Jacqueline and Trezelle? Well, we got this, But anyways, I can't find it because I have like hundreds of videos and stuff saved for them. So I just wasn't prepared to show it. So it's going to be tough for me to pick it out. I appreciate you coming on and giving us your, your expert opinion on this. And, we're going to be following it closely, because once this thing kicks off, do you think that they're going to try to ask for a change of venue, Jess?
I don't. I originally thought that was definitely coming, because in the beginning they made a lot of noise about that, saying that their client couldn't get a fair trial and everything. But then they both joined into the request and the motion for the gag order, and then they got the gag order. And so far, I haven't seen any breach of that gag order. So for them to be able to go into court at any point and say, hey, we want to change the venue, they're going to have to show that there's a reason for that. And aside from saying that maybe the people in that area are tainted through coverage, through media coverage, which I don't see how they can even go in there with a straight face and argue that at this point because of that gag order. But, I don't think that they'd be able to prove that. So I think that if they made a motion for that, which I doubt, I don't think that the judge would grant it.
Yeah. Yeah. And there has been extensive media coverage, and there's been a lot of coverage on YouTube, but not as much coverage as you saw with George Floyd. I mean, that, was on the nightly news, and it was being spoken about everywhere. And I mean, you couldn't not see that. And there was no change of venue there. So there was a request for it, but they didn't grant it.
Right. And ever since these indictments came out, and the DA, Cynthia Zimmer, I think her name was,
yeah,
when she gave that press conference and she's like, we're not talking about this, there's a gag order, whatever. That was it. I mean, it's been good. I mean, there's been nothing.
Yeah.
I've been trying to track this case, and it's hard to find any information out there. You just go to the court records and see what you can find, but there's been no leaks that I know of anywhere. So I think that's a good thing for the prosecution. And it's in some ways good for the defense, but in some ways it's bad because they probably would want to try to get a new venue, but I don't think they'd be successful.
Right. And we have limited information on what was in the search warrants that they conducted, obviously. So we don't even know what kind of evidence they have. So a lot of people are like, DutyRon, what do you think? Do they have a really good, strong chance of getting, guilty verdicts against Trezelle and Jacqueline? You can't even answer that because we don't know what they have, And so an opinion would just be a guess at this point. And I would say, I hope and pray that I think it's Cynthia Zimmerman has enough to, and Ed and I know this from, being in the profession a long time. District attorneys are not in the business to go and try to put a case forward that they don't feel and don't think that they can get a guilty verdict. I mean, it doesn't always happen, but what I'm saying is they try to do some strong, case management and vetting of all of the information they have. And they don't just jump to conclusions like, oh, let's just put this forward. They want a high success rate of getting that guilty verdict. And same thing with the defense attorney,
Normally, yes.
Normally.
And
Well,
I can tell you that Eric Smith, he's the assistant district attorney on this case. He is amazing. I mean, he is a superstar prosecutor, and his success rate is so high, and he's amazing. And I was so encouraged when I saw that he's the attorney who's going to be leading up the team on this, because I think that's putting the very best foot forward that they could possibly put in this case. So keeping my fingers crossed.
what did you see the success rate for this gentleman? Did you come up with any figures, or was anything published?
I don't have the numbers of it, but I can tell you, like, he's won awards before. He received a California award for being a highly successful prosecutor. There was one year that he was in trial during that year 256 days out of a year, which is a lot. And he had 8 trials. And of those 8 trials, I believe they were all murder trials. And of those 8 trials, he had 7 guilties. And I think there was 1 hung jury. So this guy, he's really, he's been around for a long time. And he's, everything I've read about him is fantastic. So,
all right, cool. I found a little something. Let's let this play.
Defending the adoptive parents of Orson and Orrin West are accusing the district attorney Cynthia Zimmer of making biased statements that they believe could taint a jury pool.
Statements that have been used by the Kern County District Attorney in her press conference tend to invoke a tidal wave of emotion towards finding guilt, whether substantiated or not, and this will taint a local jury pool and could deny our clients a chance at a fair trial.
Timothy Hennessy, attorney for Trezelle West, stated on Monday statements made by Kern County's District Attorney Cynthia Zimmer while discussing the case against Trezelle and Jacqueline West could deny the adoptive parents a chance at fair trial. Alexia Torres-Stallings, attorney for Jacqueline West, added the statements made by Zimmer can be misleading or taken as fact.
When we hear stuff like, we proved to the grand jury, they were convinced, they believed, that isn't the standard in which they make their finding. And so to us, it was to more clarify that that isn't the standard, That isn't to say that the grand jury aren't humans and that they obviously can't make up their own mind. It's just that that's not the same standard in which we know the standard to be.
The attorneys were also critical of the grand jury process.
Grand jury process lacks a crucial and important role of our criminal justice system, and that is the accused and their counsel being present during. There is no opportunity to cross-examine any witnesses, and it is basically ran by the district attorney.
We did reach out to the district attorney's office and were told a response would be sent out addressing the allegation. We will provide an update as soon as we receive it. The trial is expected to begin May 23rd, but during Monday's conference, the defense attorney stated that they are
See, this is old from May. It's saying that it was going to start May 23rd, and here we are. What did they give? Another date in October?
Yeah, October 24th.
There you go. So, you know, when we saw that conversation about them, that's what I thought that they were going to be going for, you know, either change of venue or mistrial, or, you know, it was crazy talk. And then that was just a small tidbit of what they talked about. So, anyways, it is what it is. We're going to keep a close eye on it. And Jess, I encourage everyone to go over and check out her channel. Is it the MysteryMaven? Is that what you chat?
The MysteryMaven ESQ.
ESQ. I will link that here in the description. Everyone go subscribe to Jess's channel. She put out a video about the boys, and she's going to continue to cover it. I'm going to have her on as guests here. So it's really great to see you, Jess. Thank you for coming on. You know,
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And while I'm here, I just wanted to tell you something real quickly. You inspired me with EquiSearch and all the good work that you do with them. And I actually joined and became someone who is more than happy to help them when they search. And I joined EquiSearch Midwest. You inspired me to do it. So thank you.
Excellent.
That's awesome. Yes.
Great job, Jess.
And you know, you not only can you help them from, you know, a regular helping standpoint, but you can help them legally as well. So
Yes,
that's really good. That's
they
awesome.
need my help. I'm there for them. So anyway, thank you guys for having me. And Ed, I hope you feel better. And
Thank you.
travel.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Jess. Talk to you soon.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right, there she goes.
Au revoir. Au revoir.
Au revoir. Au revoir. Thank you to everyone for the super chats. Jen Noble sent in a $50 super chat. That's going to help us cover all the paid memberships that we've gifted out already. Following the grain in your own wood says, thank you for always sharing love and light. Raw for AJ. Thank you so much for being here in that super chat. Ed, any final words from Africa?
Okay, folks. Stay safe. Stay prepared. Watch your six.
There it is. That's standard from Ed Wallace. I want to just say, God bless the world. God bless the United States of America. But most importantly, God bless each and every one of us here in the chat, but especially the victims and their families of all crime across the globe. And I talk about everyone here. I'm not going to just name specific cases like I usually do, but let's send a general strength, prayers, positive vibes for everybody and anybody that's going through something tough. When you become a victim of crime, you have to live with that for the rest of your life. So we send support, strength, and positive vibes to everybody. Ed, thank you for chiming in from Africa. We will see you on the next one. Members only, all the new members tomorrow around noon. Twyla Cisco, Dave Rader, and company if Ed's available. I know he's 4 hours ahead, so that's. Oh no, you got a busy day tomorrow, Ed. So you probably no good.
Yeah.
But we'll talk soon. We'll keep in touch. Thanks, Ed.
All right.
Thank you
Take
to
care,
everyone
folks.
watching. Take care.